You won't believe what happened 30,000 feet in the air. A billionaire's daughter tried to put a plastic bag over a flight attendant's face, right in front of dozens of passengers. The cabin erupted in chaos, but what happened next? Justice landed midair, and the entire plane witnessed it. Stay tuned, because this story will shock you. It was supposed to be just another routine flight. Passengers were boarding, luggage was being stowed, and the flight attendants were performing their usual checks with smiles and polite reminders. Among them was Jasmine, a young black flight attendant, known for her professionalism and calm demeanor. She had worked countless flights and handled difficult passengers before, but nothing could have prepared her for what was about to happen that day. As the plane reached cruising altitude, passengers were settling in, some chatting, others scrolling on their phones. Suddenly, the atmosphere in the cabin shifted. A young woman, impeccably dressed in designer clothing and exuding a sense of entitlement, stormed down the aisle. She was the daughter of a billionaire, and it was clear from the way she carried herself that she believed she could bend the rules, or even ignore them entirely. Without warning, she grabbed a plastic bag from her handbag and, in a shocking and unthinkable act, tried to place it over Jasmine's face. Gasps echoed through the cabin. Passengers froze in horror, some instinctively reaching for their phones to record the shocking scene. For a brief moment, it seemed like time had stopped. Jasmine's heart raced, but she didn't panic. She had been trained for emergencies, but this was different. It wasn't a fire, a medical situation, or turbulence. It was blatant, aggressive, and completely unprovoked. She felt the weight of dozens of eyes on her, some terrified, some horrified, but she kept her composure. Her voice remained calm but firm as she said, "Ma'am, please don't do that. You can't treat anyone this way." The billionaire's daughter, however, ignored the warning and smirked as if Jasmine's authority and the rules of decency meant nothing. Her arrogance filled the cabin, making the situation even more tense. But Jasmine was not about to let fear dictate her actions. She knew that how she responded now would determine the outcome, not just for her, but for everyone watching. Other passengers started to murmur, some shifting uncomfortably in their seats, unsure whether to intervene. The cabin crew quickly moved to support Jasmine, creating a protective barrier while trying to maintain order. This wasn't just about safety, it was about standing up to entitlement, holding someone accountable, and refusing to allow a privileged person to harm someone else without consequences. In that moment, the entire plane witnessed the first sparks of a confrontation that would soon become unforgettable. The stakes were high, and the tension was palpable. What started as a routine flight had turned into a shocking test of courage, composure, and justice, one that would leave passengers talking for years. The entire cabin was in disbelief. No one could believe what they had just witnessed. A young woman, clearly used to getting whatever she wanted, had attempted something completely unthinkable, placing a plastic bag over a flight attendant's face mid-flight. Passengers whispered to each other, their eyes wide with shock. Phones were raised, some recording, others calling loved ones in disbelief. A man in the aisle seat leaned toward his friend, whispering, "Did she really just?" His friend shook his head, too stunned to respond. Parents clutched their children a little closer, and some passengers looked around, unsure if they should intervene or remain seated. The sheer audacity of the act left everyone paralyzed for a few moments. Meanwhile, Jasmine stayed calm and composed. She didn't yell, she didn't panic, and she didn't retaliate. Her voice was firm but controlled as she reminded the daughter, "You cannot do that. Please put the bag down." But the billionaire's daughter, clearly unaccustomed to being told no, continued to smirk and ignore instructions. The tension in the cabin grew by the second. Other crew members quickly sprang into action, moving between the daughter and Jasmine to create a protective barrier. Their priority was the safety of both passengers and staff, but the situation was more than physical. It was about respect, authority, and justice. Passengers began murmuring their support for Jasmine, some speaking up, others simply watching with approval as she handled the situation with dignity. It was clear The daughter had underestimated everyone on that plane. She believed wealth and status could shield her from consequences, but the reactions of the passengers and crew made it clear that her actions would not go unchallenged. For the first time, the entitlement that had seemed untouchable was meeting real resistance, and the cabin became a tense stage where courage and accountability were about to confront arrogance head-on. As the plane continued its flight, it became painfully clear that the billionaire's daughter had miscalculated. She had assumed that money, status, and family influence could shield her from the consequences of her actions. But now, surrounded by dozens of witnesses, that illusion was quickly unraveling. Passengers began speaking up, their voices rising with authority and disbelief. "You can't treat someone like this," one passenger said firmly, locking eyes with her. Another added, "No one is above the rules, not even you." The collective disapproval of the cabin began to weigh heavily on her, and for the first time, the smirk on her face faltered. Meanwhile, Jasmine remained composed. She had handled difficult passengers before, but this level of arrogance was unprecedented. Yet, she didn't retaliate. Her calm, measured demeanor contrasted sharply with the daughter's escalating frustration. She continued to speak clearly and confidently, explaining that safety, respect, and professionalism must always come first, no matter who someone is or how much money they have. The tension escalated, and the pilot was informed of the situation. Airlines have strict policies against harassment, and the crew acted quickly, ensuring the daughter remained in her seat under supervision while they coordinated with the destination airport. The message was clear: actions have consequences, and privilege would not protect her from accountability. Gradually, the billionaire's daughter began to realize that her power and wealth could not intimidate the people around her. The flight attendants, the passengers, and the crew all were united against her misconduct. She was no longer in control of the situation. What had started as an attempt to humiliate Jasmine had turned into a public display of her own downfall. By now, everyone in the cabin could sense the shift. Arrogance was giving way to consequence. Entitlement was meeting resistance, and courage was quietly taking the lead. The stage was set for justice to arrive mid-air, and it was only a matter of time before the world would witness it. The turning point came before the plane even began its descent. The airline staff, working closely with the flight crew, took immediate action to ensure that the situation was contained and that justice was on the way. The billionaire's daughter was instructed to remain seated, with a crew member stationed nearby to supervise her movements. The tension in the cabin was palpable, but there was also a sense of relief. Passengers could see that the situation was finally under control. The pilot addressed the passengers over the intercom, acknowledging the seriousness of the incident and thanking Jasmine for her calm and professional response under extreme pressure. His words reassured everyone that the airline was taking this incident seriously and that no one, regardless of wealth or status, would be allowed to intimidate or harm the staff. Meanwhile, the billionaire's daughter began to grasp the gravity of her actions. The smirk that had once exuded arrogance and entitlement disappeared, replaced by a growing sense of panic. She realized, far too late, that money could not erase what she had done or protect her from consequences. Every passenger who had witnessed her actions, every recording taken, and every member of the crew standing firm made it impossible for her to escape accountability. By the time the plane landed, authorities were waiting on the tarmac. The daughter was escorted off the plane under close supervision, facing immediate questioning and potential legal consequences. Passengers watched in silent satisfaction as justice, delayed for only moments, was finally served. Videos of the incident quickly circulated online, highlighting Jasmine's bravery and professionalism in the face of danger. Social media erupted, praising her composure and condemning the daughter's actions. What had started as a shocking and terrifying moment in the air had transformed into a powerful statement. Courage and integrity always triumph over arrogance and entitlement, and no one is above accountability, even mid-flight. After the plane touched down, the story didn't end. It went viral almost instantly. Passengers shared videos and recounted the shocking events on social media, and news outlets quickly picked up the story. The world was captivated, not only by the billionaire's daughter's shocking behavior, but by Jasmine's extraordinary composure and courage. She had remained calm under unimaginable pressure, showing professionalism, strength, and integrity in a moment when many would have panicked. The airline launched a thorough investigation, reviewing the incident from start to finish. Protocols were examined and reinforced to ensure that flight attendants and staff were better protected from harassment in the future. For Jasmine, the incident became a defining moment in her career. She had faced one of the most extreme forms of entitlement imaginable, and yet she handled it with dignity and authority, earning respect from passengers and colleagues alike. The billionaire's daughter, meanwhile, faced swift consequences. Legal authorities were already involved, and public scrutiny added another layer of accountability. Her actions sparked conversations about privilege, respect, and the idea that wealth cannot shield anyone from the consequences of their behavior. The story became a powerful reminder that entitlement has limits, and that integrity and courage can prevail even in the most intimidating situations. For passengers, crew, and viewers around the world, this story became more than just a shocking incident mid-flight. It became a lesson. It showed that standing up for yourself and others is always worth it, that courage and professionalism are stronger than arrogance, and that justice can arrive in the most unexpected places, even 30,000 feet in the air. In the end, Jasmine's strength and composure ensured that the daughter's actions would not go unpunished, and the incident became a symbol of accountability, integrity, and the triumph of respect over entitlement. The world watched, learned, and applauded. And that's how courage and professionalism won over arrogance and entitlement, even 30,000 feet in the air. Jasmine stood her ground, and justice was served, reminding us all that no one is above accountability. If you were shocked by this story, make sure to like, share, and subscribe, because we've got more unbelievable real-life moments coming your way.